I'm here at 96th and Dillon Road, and I can add to that what you were just discussing there, that I am told by a fire official there are people missing, but the number that I've heard, I'm not going to put out there while we wait to verify that. We've been working on verifying what that number may be, but we believe there are people missing tonight, and let's keep our thoughts and prayers there that they are found safe as this goes on. So let me give you the latest right now on this drama I told you about a few minutes ago that is unfolding here. These are livestock trailers lined up heading to the west here on Dillon Road because they are going out in an effort with a police escort to go out into these fields in these areas, to the farms in this area, to look for livestock that was turned loose, horses, cattle perhaps. There are several dozen trailers, 3 dozen, maybe 4 dozen trailers that are headed in there with people, dedicated people, that are going to go in there and look for these animals that were turned loose to try and see if they can find them and take them to safe areas. Now, again, a lot of that ground up in there was burned, so we're hoping no animals were lost, but they would typically flee that fire, and hopefully we're able to outrun it. Now, to the south of that, our Rob McClure will show you what's going on right now at Avista Hospital. There is a glow behind Avista Hospital there. We don't know or nor believe at this point that any of the buildings with Avista Hospital are lost, but we have seen homes that have burned in the area to the north there. And, you know, all night long, we've seen firefighting equipment in there and people trying to fight fires and try to knock it back. The winds have settled down. That has certainly helped. But the evacuation of that hospital today, which was, we talked with a couple of people who were involved with that, was an organized, but pandemonium was the word, but pandemonium that is understandable in this situation to get people out of that hospital. They managed to get everyone out safely. We did manage to talk with one hospital worker as she came out. She didn't want to talk officially about what happened to the hospital, but she did reflect to us, did Patty Holtz, what it was like to drive through the fire to get out and reach us. Listen in.
I can see embers coming off the fire.
Thought we were going to hear from Patty. Patty working at one of the hospitals. And Alan, are you still with us? The interview with Patty did not come up.
Okay, the technical problem, that kind of thing happens, but she talked about driving through that. We'll see if we can get that back for you a little bit later. And several of the people I talked to that came through the smoke and flames talked about trying to drive out, and you couldn't hardly see the vehicle in front of you when it was, you know, maybe 40 feet away. And then they would look off to the side and they would see flames. One man we talked to earlier, we're good, we got the sound now. Okay, here's what Patty told us a little bit earlier today.
As you're driving down this road, it's just black and windy and there's embers blowing and, I mean, coming over your car, and it was just like, where am I? You know, I mean, it's very frightening.
It is. Well, thank goodness you're okay.
Yeah, I mean, if there was like, I would imagine this is what a nuclear attack would look like.
Nuclear Armageddon in a way. When you drive through something like that, thankfully, she and others who came through at that time all did fine getting through it. One man told us his windows were closed on his vehicle and he could feel the heat on the side of his arm as he passed fire. That's how hot things get. And when you get heat like that, it will not only start a house or a building on fire from the outside, but even jump to the inside. When a window gets so hot, a curtain will catch on fire, a couch inside a house. I've been told by firefighters, when you get extreme heat like you do in a fire like this one. We can see the embers coming off of that fire through our camera. Rob McClure, my photographer here, tells me that that's visible in that fire that continues to burn north of the hospital here in Louisville, where they have had a very difficult day indeed. Jim and Michaelia?
Alan, help me out here. As you look to the right on this image, look like something just flared up. Do you think those are flames or the lights of an emergency vehicle to the right of the hospital?
Yeah. Well, you know, it's difficult to tell,
sure.
Certainly, and I'm curious what Rob thinks about that because he has his eye on the viewfinder. Emergency vehicle or flames, Rob?
emergency vehicle in the foreground, but definitely embers in the background. And if you look off to the right side of
Yeah.
the image, you'll see the beacon at the helipad. The
Oh,
green,
okay.
orange, and white.
Got
So
it.
that's the helipad there at the hospital. And like I say, our perspective is a little off. We can't tell where exactly in relation to the hospital those embers are flying off of, but definitely in the neighborhood.
And every ember that flies is potentially yet another fire that firefighters have to deal with. Earlier in the day when the winds were ripping, they would go quite a ways and start yet another hot fire, another spot fire somewhere else.
Yeah, sure would. Alan, thanks very much. And our high hopes going with those folks hoping to rescue some of the animals as they head back westbound towards Boulder. We've been seeing a lot of folks going eastbound to get away, but God bless them for going in and looking for some of those animals who might have broken loose out of fear or just were let loose into some of the meadows and some of the areas there on the west side of the city of Boulder. I know that still pretty rural in there, and a lot of people do have animals. We'll hope for a happy ending for certainly all of them.